Yeah, so I forget exactly what I was reading. This was maybe a week or two ago. But it was something about it was no, I don't know what it was. It was I was reading a Batman book, The Night. It was a great little read over there, and that book is just about Bruce Wayne before he becomes Batman. So
Right.
it's like senior year in high school, and then like the years between being Batman and graduating high school.
Right.
It was a phenomenal read. Highly recommend if anyone who wants like those details. But they got me thinking about like who are the richest superheroes in comic book history. And so I went and looked it up, and like there's no definitive list, but there are names that are constantly repeated.
I mean, the richest has to be either what immortal guy, Justice League villain guy.
Oh,
I cannot think of his name for some reason right now. Vandal Savage.
yeah, Savage, yeah.
It's got to be Vandal. It's got to be very close between Vandal Savage and T'Challa. Like they have to be.
You know what's interesting? I never even thought about Vandal Savage, but he would make a whole lot of sense to be on the list.
Oh yeah, Vandal Savage could have opened like a savings account,
Right?
and just let that shit roll.
Because he's been alive since forever.
It says this account was opened in 1778. That's weird.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that interest is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah, that would make a whole lot of sense. Surprisingly, none of the list had him on there. Maybe like all the lists I saw just looking at superheroes. No,
No.
but I seen Lex Luthor on the list.
Oh, he has some heroic moments.
I mean, yeah, okay. Heroic moments like that would be like if this apartment caught fire and I pushed you out the door, but I only did it so I could also get out the door.
I don't know what you're talking about. Lex Luthor is defending the Earth from an alien invasion.
That's a fucking propaganda spin on it if I've ever heard one.
We have got listen, Ace. We have got to get tighter controls on the space border. Okay, we just got these undocumented immigrant aliens just coming into Earth all willy nilly all the time,
Saving people on a daily basis for free.
They're working at our newspaper, so they're part of the mainstream media. You know.
Yeah, I think that maybe your perspective on it may be a little.
The Daily Planet is just propaganda that's meant to prop up Superman. He clearly has people on the inside there. Yeah.
That's a bold take. That's a very bold take. Next, you're gonna tell me he's probably fucking somebody there.
Yeah, yeah, probably. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. There should whoever is writing Superman right now, they should jot this shit down because it'd be hilarious,
Right.
to have Lex Luthor bring up these points.
Yeah. Yeah. Reason number 75 why you shouldn't trust Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you though, I was thinking about like who would be the richest, and in my mind, it would also be T'Challa.
Yeah.
But then I did see some names that made me think T'Challa, he might be number 2 or possibly number 3. There are a couple that I think could potentially top him. The one that came to my mind that I think might have even more money than T'Challa would be Thor, which is almost not fair because he ain't even from here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends on whether, which currency you
Yeah. But why wouldn't
referencing.
Why wouldn't we accept gold from Odin's treasure room?
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, and you know, you remember that back when Marvel did those one shots, there was actually one that was funny that came out before Ragnarok.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
the one with Thor and his just normal roommate,
Yeah.
Daryl or whatever.
Yeah.
That shit was actually hilarious.
It really was.
Yeah. There was one part of that when Thor tries to pay his half of the rent with like fucking gold coins from Odin's treasure room, and the guy's like, I can't do anything with this. I was like, motherfucker, I could,
yeah. Yeah, I'll turn that shit in.
Right.
Yeah, there's no telling what's in that treasure room, dog.
Exactly. The other one would be like Aquaman or Namor. Like, those are some rich motherfuckers, too.
Yeah, if you think about all the stuff that's in Atlantis.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so there's a lot of rich motherfuckers out there. Let me ask you this. I was able to get close enough to confirmation concerning this burning matter. Who do you think has more money, Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne?
I guess it would depend on the iteration.
Right.
Right? Like in Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne ain't got no money. He's broke as shit.
Broke as fuck. Yep.
Tony's never really broke.
I can't think of a time. He did.
Yeah. But like Stark Industries still got a ton of money.
Yeah.
I would say that this probably. I would say it probably just depends on the iteration. You know, probably with a leg up to Tony.
Yeah, I always assumed that they were close, neck and neck, and they are. But I was also leaning Tony, but most sources put Bruce Wayne ahead by about $20 billion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so most places have Bruce Wayne having a net worth of around $100 billion, with Tony around 80.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at that point.
Right.
At that point, you both have infinite money.
Yeah, you both have cheat code money, so whatever. Oh, do you know the common number I saw put next to T'Challa's name?
What was it?
90 trillion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering that vibranium is,
right,
you know, like the most valuable thing on the planet.
Yeah, most valuable resource in the world, and the shit that they've been able to make with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
definitely makes sense. The most surprising name that I saw, not on a whole lot of lists, but this name came up a couple times, was fucking Wolverine.
For the same reason that Vandal Savage.
Yeah, same reason.
Should be on there. Yeah. Like, Wolverine should have a ton of money.
Now, granted, like, they estimated his net worth to be between 1 and 10 million. But I'm like, hey, look, man, if you've been alive for 200 years and you can't even get a meal, you might as well, you need to figure it out. Because it ain't working. Yeah.
See, anybody that can time travel could instantly be towards the top of that list.
Oh, yeah. Like Booster Gold.
Yeah.
You know,
all you got to do is go to, like, the day that Google hit the stock exchange.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Google stock went for the day it hit the stock exchange?
No.
The Wall Street minimum of $1.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's cheaper stocks or whatever,
Yeah.
but to be listed on, like, the major exchanges, you have to have a stock price of at least $1. And so yeah, Google, when it was $1,
that's insane.
you could have spent. Let's just say you spent $1,000 and bought 1,000 shares, and you know that stock is worth several $100s a share now.
Right.
And like they have split the stock many times since then, so you wouldn't have just 1,000 shares.
Yeah.
You probably would have closer to maybe 20 to 30,000 shares. Yeah.
God damn.
And then, you know, then you're selling those for several $100s a piece. So,
Right.
I mean, just that very simple transaction, you can make a ton of money. You also could go to like when Bitcoin hit the net.
Oh, yeah.
And you could actually exponentially make that because I remember when Bitcoin, like several Bitcoin was like less than a penny. Like I think a penny was like 37 Bitcoin at one point. And now one Bitcoin is worth
36,000.
Yeah. So yeah, you really could just buy you like $1 worth of Bitcoin and be worth millions and millions of dollars. There's a popular image going around from a StarCraft tournament. And it's StarCraft, so it's from like the late 90s.
Yeah.
And the prizes for the tournament is like first place was like $500. Second place was $250. Third place was $100. Fourth place was a gift certificate to Papa John's Pizza.
Hell yeah.
And fifth place was 100 Bitcoin.
Imagine Imagine like somehow having the foresight of what that Bitcoin would be and competing for fifth.
Yeah. Like I'll trade you.
Yeah.
You get first, and you're like, I'll trade you my $500 for your.
Right.
Which, of course, at that time, you could just take your $500 and go buy a shitload more.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah.
That's insane, bro. I think about the times where we hear stories of people buying pizza with Bitcoin,
Yep.
And it's like that kind of money then that you spent not knowing what it would be. Oh, that shit would make me sick.
Well, the problem back then, not to make this a fucking cryptocurrency episode, but the problem back then is more so the longevity because, like, today, there's, like, online wallets and, you can just log in and you have an account just like your bank account for the most part as far as the way you access it. But back then, there weren't online, wallets. There weren't online repositories and stuff. So if you wanted to keep Bitcoin, you had to keep that wallet on a device.
Oh, yeah.
And there were no solid state drives back then. So you had to keep that shit on a hard drive. And so, like, you had to remember the encryption key and keep that drive. Now, obviously, like, once the online wallets became available, probably 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago now, maybe a little further back than that, don't quote me, you could have transferred it. But, like, you got to keep that device. You have to keep that hard drive working.
Yeah.
Or keep transferring it, to a different device. So,
oh yeah,
there's hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin out there that's just on unrecoverable hard drives and shit.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking.
Just into the nether.
Yeah.
Speaking of heartbreaking,
and you know what? Speaking of cryptocurrency, you haven't gotten too far in the Umbrella Academy yet.
I'm far enough to know about Ben being into it. Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so we were gonna review Umbrella Academy today, and last night I messaged Q here and I was like, "Look, man, I was gonna binge this tonight, but I can't subject my brain to any more of this." So I started thinking about it, and, I've been listening back to our MCU ranking that we did.
Yeah.
Speaking of, everyone should check that out. We ranked the entire MCU just last week. And those are some of the best episodes we've put out, in my opinion. Great content. And I was listening to it, man, and, okay, so I did not like this season of The Boys.
Right.
So far, spoilers for the review, but I fucking hate this season of Umbrella Academy. Like, I'm going to be really struggling over here to find some positives. Nick Offerman is in it. That's what I got. That's what I got. And then, like I said, I rank both of the Watiti movies lower than you. I rank Secret Invasion lower than you.
Yeah.
Have I, like, thematically assumed Kevin's angry old man?
That energy had to go somewhere.
I guess so. He left it in here, and I just walked in, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll be the co-host," and I just, like, absorbed it.
Yeah, once you absorb that mantle, then you have to become the curmudgeon.
Yeah, because I'm like, I haven't been the official co-host for that long.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for you to sink in.
I feel like I've already become this crotchety old man.
Yeah, I can't wait for Cap 4 to come out, and I'll be like, man, that shit, I thought that was dope, and you'd be like,
They should fire Kevin Feige and replace him with Greg Berlanti.
Oh shit, I don't know what you become now at this point.
Yeah, Kevin would never say that.
You would never.
Yeah,
you would never. But before we get too far into things, proper introductions are always in order. Homies, one and all, welcome back to another very special episode of the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I'm here with my good friend, the illustrious homie Caleb.
I don't know about illustrious, but I'm definitely glad to be here. I don't have any Pepsi products on me today. I'm actually, today I'm drinking a Sunkist, not a sponsor.
That's all right. Sunkist is going to sponsor the Madam Web sequel.
Did you know that this is the only orange soda with caffeine in it?
Really?
Yeah, that's why you see me drinking it.
Oh.
Yeah, Sunkist. Sunkist has see the caffeine content there. Sunkist has caffeine in it.
I'll be damned.
Whereas the other orange sodas like Fanta and whatnot do not.
Huh. Who loves orange soda?
Kal-El.
I did not know.
Kal-El loves orange soda.
Is that true?
There's a meme about it. It must be true.
Got to be true.
It's on the internet.
Yeah.
It's on the internet.
It's on the internet. It must be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, homies, for those of you who are not yet aware, we are currently on the YouTubes, so you guys can now see us visibly, damn near in person.
Yeah. And you can look at the beautiful studio.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff in here. Lots of Easter eggs. Lots and lots of Easter eggs.
Yeah. Lots of, and this is for the IRS, props in here.
Yeah.
All of these stage props that we have.
Yeah, there's hundreds of stage props in here, all purchased for the podcast.
Yeah.
So specifically for the podcast.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of these days, I'm gonna get around to reading them all.
You know what we could do? We'll start. For if we just can't have a cold open, like if we don't have anything in mind, like I can just pull a random book.
Oh
and
yeah,
then you can just tell the homies about it. You know.
I was going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Daredevil show, but you haven't seen that leaked trailer yet.
I have not seen the leaked trailer.
You want to wait for like the actual good looking version.
Yeah, I want to watch that shit in 4K, maybe like 60 frames a second. You know, I want to watch that shit on my OLED. Yes. Don't buy an OLED, by the way, unless you like own your house and you're never going to move.
Oh, yeah. You had a hell of a time moving yours, huh?
Yeah, both times. Yeah, if you buy OLED, just wherever you put it, just go ahead and accept that that's where it lives.
Yeah, that's where that bitch is gonna stay.
Yeah.
Only reason I mentioned that new Daredevil show is because there's a certain villain that they show in the trailer, and the villain looks very cool. Looks just as creepy as they are in the certain Daredevil book. And I was like, man, there's always the issue that I have of like whenever I finish something, I'm like, what to read next, and so it's like, well, what's coming out? And so I'll probably give that Daredevil run another read before that show comes out, just to refamiliarize myself with that villain. And I think it'll be fun because that was another fun run.
Is this the villain that was in the Netflix show as well?
He actually was not in the Netflix show.
Oh, okay, so this is somebody else.
Yep.
Have they confirmed whether they're still doing 18 fucking episodes?
I haven't heard nothing about that.
Yeah, because that's crazy if so. Like, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. You know, give me 18 great episodes, but I worry about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, most of these shows can't give us 6.
You know, most of the... is that jab at Umbrella Academy?
I honestly didn't even know that there were 6 episodes. That was actually a jab at fucking
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That and Secret Invasion.
And Secret Invasion, yeah.
Yeah.
The last time they said anything about that Daredevil Born Again show being 18 episodes was when it was before that show got put on ice.
Yeah.
And they just redid all the work they had done on the show thus far.
I'm so fucking glad we're never going to see whatever the fuck they originally wanted to do.
Homies, if you don't know, it sounded horrendous.
Because we basically were going to get a happy-go-lucky fucking Matt Murdock.
Attorney at law.
Yeah. Yeah, that it originally was going to heavily be a courtroom show. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind a courtroom show, but I don't want this to be the courtroom show.
Right.
And like, what was it? Was like Daredevil didn't even show up in the suit for like 4 episodes or something?
Yeah, you didn't even see Daredevil for the first 4 episodes was a report. Yeah. Crazy.
And they weren't going to carry over any of the continuity or any of the characters from the Netflix show.
No. And yeah, and so that part is also insane, right? And the trailer, it does confirm a lot of characters. So it could still be 18 episodes just because, man, there's a lot of different people that you see just in that trailer.
Yeah.
New and old. So
if you can pull 3 characters from the Netflix verse and they're like as their actors, obviously like Matt and Kingpin are already confirmed. So
3's not enough, man, because that third slot's got to go to John Bernthal.
yeah. So no, I mean 3, not including them.
Oh, not including.
Yeah,
them.
yeah, they're not included, and I think John Bernthal returning as the Punisher's already also confirmed. So
yeah, he was in the trailer. I didn't know if that was confirmed or not, but it damn sure is now.
Oh yeah, it was like headlines. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So you can pick 3.
Okay.
From the Netflix verse.
I am going to choose. All right, so this is gonna be kind of tricky. I want to choose Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones.
Okay. Solid.
Yeah, I thought she did really good as Jessica.
Strong choice, literally.
Yeah. Is Purple Man still dead?
David Tennant was fucking terrifying as Purple Man.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. While I would love to see him, I mean, obviously if they're gonna bring her over, then she already would have killed him. Right. Like they're making those shows canon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I also feel like he's a touch too far for what Marvel Disney is willing to do.
That's true. He was a little bit much. Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to go with Mike Coulter as Luke Cage.
Yeah, that would be one of my picks for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was damn good. And let's see, one more that. Who can I not live with? Finn Jones. I couldn't even finish that. Sorry, Finn. I didn't mean no disrespect. Man, who would be that third slot for me? It would be Elodie Young as Elektra, but she shot me down all those years ago, so can't be her.
Hey,
her loss.
Karma.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Coming back to bite you,
That's
bitch.
right, yeah. All you had to do is give this perfect stranger your phone number and this shit could have been settled.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah. Man, that third one is hard. You know who else is also really good that didn't get a whole lot of recognition was the character of Wesley in season 1 of Daredevil.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he was always fun, and I didn't think that they would put him in the TV show. They did, and spoiler alert, he got dead. But
yeah, tremendous character though.
Yeah. Also Ben Urich. I really like the actor that played Ben.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But he also dead. That's what I really enjoyed about their Daredevil show. They killed a lot of people.
I gotta say that for me, I would agree with your first 2 picks. Mm-hmm. Obviously you want Mike Coulter, and it's hard to imagine anybody taking Kristen Ritter's spot.
Yeah.
But I'm actually gonna say Rosario Dawson.
Night Nurse. Yeah. That. I think that's a good choice too.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like there's so many other characters she could potentially play.
That's true.
Yeah. Which Night Nurse did you prefer? I think I know the answer to this. The one that we got from the Defenders verse, or the one we got in Doctor Strange with Rachel McAdams?
It's very clearly Rosario Dawson.
I figured I'd just confirm.
Yeah. I might be a bit of a Rosario Dawson fanboy. Might be a little bit of a stan for Rosario. She might be playing my favorite Star Wars character.
Yeah, there's that little detail.
And killing it as said character.
Right.
So,
as expected.
Did you know that we had to have talked about this? The girl that played the young Ahsoka is the same chick that played the young Gamora. I know we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, is she going to be, one of those actresses that you always wonder, will you ever play a role where you're not an alien colored person?
Yeah, that's true.
Zoe Saldana had that for a while too.
She really did, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Although she's a human in Star Trek.
Oddly enough. Oddly enough.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that reminds me too, and this came to me while I was listening to the MCU ranking. We were talking about Moon Knight, and we were like, the nerdier something is. This is actually what I said. I said the nerdier something is, the worse of a time Oscar Isaac seems to have. But I was actually completely incorrect at that, because he was fucking incredible in Dune.
Oh yeah.
And Dune is like the nerdiest thing there is.
You know what? You are 1,000%. It's because his character didn't have a whole lot of that nerd. I'm not gonna call it because that's almost insulting to us.
Yeah,
it didn't have a whole lot of those nerd qualities attached to his character.
Right.
Yeah. Now his son, on the other hand.
Yeah, I mean his character was basically like Space Ned Stark.
Yeah. In all the ways you can imagine.
Yeah, in all the ways. Like, I mean, super honorable. Yeah. Had the reputation for like doing the right thing.
You like him and think I can get behind this guy.
Super powerful army behind him. Very loyal. All his subjects think he's awesome.
Yeah.
Got dead.
You can't wait to see him in the sequel.
That Ned Stark killing, man. That shit rocked a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Because they were like main character energy,
Bruh, and then like early Game of Thrones, for those of us who haven't read the book like myself, that shit got us multiple times,
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, you fooled us once with Ned Stark. You guys knew that we were hitching our wagons to this guy. He's going to carry us throughout this show. And then he doesn't make it up the first season. And then it's, Robb Stark, this is the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, now, I see. The show is about the Stark children getting their revenge for all these things that happened to them. Yeah. None of them ever really do, other than maybe Arya,
She's about the only one, right?
Yeah, she kills the Freys. Mm-hmm. Feeds their kids to them and shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's about it. I mean,
yeah, you look at all the shit that they go through collectively, and it's like, was any of it worth it?
Yeah, Sansa never gets... Well, she gets her revenge on Ramsay, but that had nothing to do with the Lannisters at the time.
Right. I mean, but Ramsay was his own personal hell for Sansa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof.
So, but this is not the Game of Thrones review.
Thank goodness.
We are here to talk about another classic. Just earlier this week, we actually... we were a little behind on these. So, we did Winter Soldier earlier this year. It is 10 years old. And then last week we did Days of Future Past. And now we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary. We're going to revisit the original Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're joining us anywhere that's on video, you can see, is that an Omni, Guardians Omni?
It is.
Yeah.
Guardians Omni. The best Guardians Omni, hands down. Brian Michael Bendis also has a Guardians Omni. It's also over there. I chose to go with the one that I like the most for this review to show off.
I mean, obviously, Bendis is like, he's at his best when he's writing Spider-Man.
Yeah. The problem with his run on Guardians actually is because it came out after the movie, and it was clear from everyone reading it, he wanted his run to be just like the movie. Okay. Yeah, incredibly.
I thought you were going to say he kept putting Spider-Man in.
Oddly enough, you kept putting Iron Man in it.
That's weird.
Yeah. I guess because Iron Man was the guy at the time,
That's fair.
So, yeah, and then that's when we get the infamous scene of Iron Man smashing Gamora. It's more the other way around, really. I mean, being honest.
It's got to be tough, right? Because anytime, like, obviously with Iron Man, right? I mean, you look at his illustrious run prior to 2008 when the movie came out. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Iron Man enjoyed quite a bit of spotlight. Had some lows as well, but, I mean, very famous among comic readers.
Yeah.
But, and then the movie came out, and then you add millions of people into this, and obviously the depiction of Tony Stark in the comics probably changed a bit to kind of slant more towards an RDJ flavor.
Right.
But, like, holy fuck, with Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like, look at this very niche property, and then now you're just going to throw millions and millions of people into it. It's got to be tough in a post-Guardians of the Galaxy movie world to write a Guardians of the Galaxy anything without it having heavy influence from the movie.
Yeah, that's got to be. It would have to be super difficult, right? Because, and this is something that like comic book companies, specifically Marvel, does very often. They always plan their comic releases lately around their movies,
Right.
So we were talking about Daredevil earlier. Funnily enough, when they were about to release the TV show back in 2015, the run on Daredevil that was ending was more of a campy run. It was a very good run, but they took Daredevil out of Hell's Kitchen. He was smiling a lot more, having a good time. And then the people at Marvel Comics got the announcement that, hey, we're doing this Daredevil show over on Netflix, and it's going to be based on the Frank Miller and Bendis era type stuff. And Marvel Comics was like, well, our next Daredevil run needs to be back in Hell's Kitchen. He's got to be brooding again. And then so they put him back there, and that run came out just in time for the TV show.
Smart.
Yeah. And oddly enough, that run includes the villain that would be in the upcoming Daredevil TV show. So, very interesting.
As we've talked about, the biggest barrier to entry for comics these days is if someone comes up to you and goes, oh, well, where should I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. At
Mm-hmm.
least with me, with the Cosmere, I can be like, read Mistborn.
Yeah, I literally asked you like, okay, what do I read next after I get done, with such and such.
And I can always tell you.
Yeah.
There might be one or two things. I can be like, well, you could do this or you could do that. But like, if I'm like, where do I start reading comics? That's a 30-minute conversation minimum.
Yeah. I'm all right, man. Sit down, take a deep breath. Yeah.
Like, okay, so and so clearly, if you've got somebody that goes and watches the Daredevil TV show and they're like, I really want more of this, and they go down to the comic shop, the worst thing you could possibly fucking do is to not have a new Daredevil book on the shelf.
Exactly.
So it makes sense. It's smart.
Makes sense. Yeah. And so they did the same thing with Guardians. Again, but Bendis' run was just too on the nose.
Yeah.
Not that it was bad, but it wasn't nearly as good as the one that I showed you guys earlier. And it's all kinds of synchronicity going on. This run was written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. Those two always work together, duo writing team. I'm sure they get into a lot of fights. But it was a tremendous run, and that gave us the lineup of Guardians that we really see in the movies. And then they give us a couple more, such as Adam Warlock, Moondragon, Phyla-Vell. But we get that core team from that run. So if you guys really like Guardians, the movies, definitely check out that run, Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. But yeah, so we time travel again to the year 2014.
A great year.
Phenomenal year, right?
Yeah. 2014 and what, 2016 were both really, really great years.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little charred by BVS.
Yeah. Well, the thing about 2014 that makes it so vastly superior to 2016 is all of the Collateral Damage movies came out in 2016. Like, all the comic book movies had that, Collateral Damage. And it was weird.
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre, right?
Yeah. It was very odd.
So, 2014, we already mentioned and talked about, we get Winter Soldier.
Yep.
That is a sequel. Not only is it a sequel, but it's the third appearance for Captain America. So it is an audience and an environment that everybody was already very familiar with. And on top of that, Winter Soldier was based off of a very popular comic book run of the same name. And so comic book fans were excited. The casual audience was excited. MCU fans were all excited. Everybody wanted to see Winter Soldier. And the movie delivered, and the rest was history. Days of Future Past, very similar notes. Everybody at that time was already very familiar with the X-Men. We had gotten a new cast of X-Men with First Class, and now we were getting the old cast mixing with the new again for Days of Future Past. But then on top of that, Days of Future Past was based off of a very popular comic book storyline. And so again, all audiences were very excited, and the movie delivered.
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy is an ensemble ragtag team that amongst niche comic book fans had a very big fan base. Amongst that small group of fans, really fucking loved that run.
Cult following, basically.
Very much a cult following, yeah.
You know, what's interesting is I was looking at it here. We got Kingsman that year.
Oh, is that when the first one came out?
Yeah, 2014. And Big Hero 6.
I'd be damn.
Also, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out that year, but we're no longer talking about highlights. But also, going back to highlights, Justice League War and Assault on Arkham both came out in 2014.
God damn.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
That was a good year.
Yeah. We can only become so erect.
Right.
So, I mean, you at least had 5 bangers that year.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, don't give me a reason to go back and rewatch Assault on Arkham or War.
Those are two of the best animated movies out there. I mean,
but instead we're gonna be watching Suicide Squad Isekai.
I forgot all about that. I keep forgetting about that. I should have turned off Umbrella Academy and watched that shit instead.
You think that would have kept you watching?
I feel like it would have. Okay. If I have a bad thing and then I have a bad thing that's a continuation of a good thing, that's rough. And I don't want to go too far into this because we're going to review Umbrella Academy Season 4, but goddamn, I wish they hadn't made this shit. Like, they could have ended it with 3. Like, that ending was, it didn't tie up everything, but it was enough. Like, as much as I hate the Star Wars sequels, hate them, you've never heard me go, I wish Disney didn't buy them. Because we just wouldn't have gotten anything.
Right.
You know? And if we hadn't got the Star Wars sequels, we wouldn't have got Mandalorian, we wouldn't have got Ahsoka, you know. We wouldn't have got Solo. I'm fine, you know. We got some good things.
Yeah.
But, like, my God. With this, I'm like, just stop. You should have just stopped with 3.
Oof.
So, anyway.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, though.
Something that I want them to keep making forever and ever.
Yeah. So, with Guardians 1, it comes out 2014 and catches everyone off guard. And at this point...
The sleeper hit of all time.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think part of its success was the fact that at this point, the MCU had built up enough credit with the fan base so that people would go see it, even though very few people knew anything about the Guardians.
They could have released a live-action Howard the Duck at this point, and it would have made $500 million minimum.
Absolutely, right.
Because this is when the MCU just shit gold, folks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Iron Man 3 was trash, and it just made $1 billion.
Yeah. People pretended like it was good for a while. It was a weird time.
It was a weird time. But, I mean, at this point in time, Winter Soldier was so well received. Everybody knew at this point. They had already revealed their phase plans. Everyone knew that Age of Ultron was coming.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Marvel could do no wrong at this point.
Right. And they were firing on all cylinders, practically.
They were. And then they brought in James Gunn, who a lot of us at the time didn't know much, if anything, about.
Yeah. They bring in James Gunn, and we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Now, looking back, it makes so much sense, right? James Gunn, he loves the funny, he loves the obscure type comic book characters. He loves the ridiculous nature of the ridiculous comic book characters. So it only makes sense that James would love Guardians. And I don't think that I'm being outlandish when I say no one else could have done what he's done with this franchise.
Right.
I mean, specifically looking at Volumes 1 and Volumes 3, they're just tremendous. They're excellent. And looking back at Guardians 1, rewatching it, I guess the last time that I really sat down and watched it was probably back in 2018. And so I hadn't seen Guardians 1 in about 6 years. And man, it was such a fun time going down memory lane and rewatching this movie. And I just had a blast with it. I still think that it looks great. I like the design. I like obviously the music, all of the aesthetics, the action. For me, the only real low point is the villain, but we'll get there. But this was a tremendous movie, man. What were your thoughts? Do you remember when you first saw Guardians Volume 1?
Man, I had no idea what to think going into this movie because, to the mainstream folks, and, I'm more of an MCU person than anything. To the mainstream folks, who the fuck were any of these characters?
Right.
The other thing that's crazy about it is almost sort of in the vein of like Invincible now. The voice cast, or the cast in general, is insane. You have Chris Pratt, who was on his way up at this point. I mean, obviously, Guardians, him being the kind of lead man in the ensemble, that like rocketed him to superstardom. So we won't take too many points off for that. You had Zoe Saldana, who was quickly becoming like the sci-fi chick at this point.
She had already done Columbiana at that point too, hadn't she?
Yep. And Star Trek was 2012.
Yep.
So we are there was 2 Star Treks out by this point.
And Avatar had already come out as well.
Yep, Avatar had already come out. This was already so Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness had already come out. So her stock was through the roof. Mm-hmm. This is probably the first role where somebody really gave Dave Bautista like a real chance.
Yeah, it is.
And he killed it. We all thought he was great.
Yeah.
As Drax. And then they got Bradley Cooper to voice Rocket, which is crazy, right?
Yes.
You have this Oscar-nominated, world-famous, Silver Linings Playbook and all that stuff was hot around this time, Hangover, all that.
Super A-list.
Yeah, super A-list guy. He's going to voice a space raccoon with guns. And then they literally paid Vin Diesel to come in and record like a bajillion hours of a tree that only says 3 things.
I wonder at what point did he think that he was being trolled?
Right. Because they have thousands of hours
of
him saying, I am Groot in different ways.
Doesn't he also have to say it in other languages too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's that's hilarious. Fuck, I'd do it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. For whatever they're paying him, I'm sure I would do it.
I would never forget my lines for one thing, even though, you're in the sound booth and you have a script, so
and
they got Glenn Close to be Nova Prime.
Yeah, which I didn't have that on my 2014 bingo card. Right. I'm actually a huge Glenn Close fan.
Yeah.
I really love her role in The Shield, obviously, which we've talked about at length. But that was crazy. This movie is star-studded. They got Lee Pace to be Ronan, and in typical Marvel fashion, they didn't give him much to do. But he's the bad guy.
How do you feel about them just kind of more or less casually tossing Thanos in this movie?
So this was actually the first time we actually got Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's him in Avengers.
It was not.
But, it was actually really great. I'm glad you brought that up because that's probably the thing I'm most excited to talk about. I was watching through this last night, and I got so happy when I heard his voice as Thanos. What do you think he's doing with his, spinny rocket space chair? Why is he holding court on this fucking asteroid? Is it because it's ominous and badass?
That's got to be it, right? That's got to be it. Why does Ronin's Kree spacecraft look so goddamn evil? It's
just a broken off Twizzler.
You got me thinking now. I want to stay here for a little bit. What the fuck was Thanos doing on his day-to-day activities on his giant cool-ass space chair?
Was he just out here on this asteroid, because it's ominous, And
I think he was just coming up with new ways to roast Nebula.
because, he brought Loki here.
Yeah, he did.
And it's like he just found villainous motherfuckers that he could send after Infinity Stones.
Yeah. Yeah, and, and that's when I kind of realized Thanos, we don't get to see this, obviously, but, like, Thanos pre-Infinity War, he wasn't that wise. He might have been intelligent. He wasn't that wise yet. Because on multiple occasions, you've allowed people to have these Infinity Gems, and you're like, all right, cool. So do the job and bring it back to me. And that has never worked out for you.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, by the time Age of Ultron came around, he was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, by that time, he literally said, I'll do it
myself. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Like, why you'd want to be out on this asteroid, because, like, you don't want to teleport these motherfuckers onto your ship.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want Loki or Ronan the Accuser on my ship.
That's true.
So,
but that's the other thing. We know he's got that cool ass ship.
That's true.
Yeah, I think he's just roasting Nebula all day. And like she's like, okay, Father, I'm gonna go do some work. And he's like, no, I got another one. And so he just brings it back to roast.
Interestingly enough, this is the Thanos they fight in Endgame.
Yes, it is.
It's
this
like
is the one.
Literally,
yeah,
right at this exact time. This exact one.
Yeah,
because it's like right before Peter, right around the same time that Peter gets the stone, they intercept him from getting the Power Stone.
Yeah.
So it's literally right after that. This is the exact Thanos they fight in Endgame. I didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was watching it earlier. And I was like, huh. So, I mean, so he does get up and do something.
Yeah. That badass fucking glaive that he has.
Right.
Double glaive.
How fucked were the Guardians for that instance when they didn't have the Power Stone?
Yeah, I mean... yeah, but, well, Ronan didn't have it either.
Yeah, but okay. Ronan, without the Power Stone, still mollywop Drax,
yeah, that's true. He really did. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They probably were pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Well, at least Nebula and Gamora also weren't there.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least got that going.
I mean, yeah, but
so at least it was just him. But yeah, I mean, unless like Peter just pulls some of his fucking ego powers or whatever.
Right. Which honestly we never hardly ever see.
No.
That's one of the few things that we never really get a whole lot of real closure to. We just have to accept the fact that once ego dies, so did that power.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because it was like a piece of him or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they still would have had that thing that Rocket built, so
yeah,
maybe they could have killed him with that.
I think so. That might have done it. You can't miss though.
Yeah,
that's like the special beam cannon, that Radish got hit with.
So they had to have Drax hold him.
Yeah,
and
Jesse be like, "This is a terrible plan."
Let's do it.
Shit, but yeah, you are completely right. This is definitely the same Thanos from Endgame.
What do you think that glaive is made out of? That
it chipped away, did more than chip away at Cap's shield.
Yeah, it fucked not Moldir, but it fucked the vibranium.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, and I mean, Moldir is made out of Uru metal.
Yeah.
And we know that it's never chipped the fucking thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly Thanos had to have the dwarves make that.
I was wondering that. Like, that's the most likely scenario.
That Eitri had to have made it.
Yeah, it's that he made the Eitri and maybe the other dwarves make him that.
Out of.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right. Because, like, at least, like, with Uru, like, that shit has to be enchanted by Odin.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
It's a vibranium adamantium alloy.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it could be adamantium.
Yeah, because it's stronger, right?
Technically stronger than vibranium. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but because in most continuities, I think now maybe including Marvel technically, but adamantium comes from space.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in the MCU, we know for sure that it comes from the Celestials.
Celestial, yeah. So when two Celestials are fucking and like, you know, the pre-jizz that you get, that solidifies and becomes adamantium.
Ah, I see. Oh, you know what? Actually, and on that note, we even know where he could have gotten it because they talk about, like, that's what they're doing on Nowhere. Is they're mining that Celestial's corpse.
Yeah. So shit. Yeah, even that makes sense.
Yeah. James Gunn thought about this shit way before anybody else.
All right, he's like, I already got y'all covered.
Yeah. Nerds are going to be arguing about this shit in like 10 years. They don't know shit about it today, though.
That's the long game.
Were you surprised to see Nowhere and the Collector included here?
As a comic reader, it's one of those things that, you know, you would kind of like to see, but didn't expect to see.
Right.
You know? But it was really cool still seeing the Collector and Nowhere, you know, in this movie. And they did such a great job with both.
Yeah.
You know, like that giant fucking creepy celestial space head floating around.
It was really dope.
Oh, it was super dope.
And especially since, you know, by the time we get to the holiday special, the Guardians basically made that shit their home base.
Right. Yeah. You haven't played the Guardians video game yet, have you?
I played it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, you actually go to Nowhere in that game and go to the Collector's base. And like the same way that like you nerd out during the all the Wolverine cameo scenes and Deadpool and Wolverine, you do the same thing walking around that base. You're like, oh my gosh, there's that thing. Oh, there's that cool thing. It's the, you know, so there's just so many cool like little nods and Easter egg all throughout that game, and especially the Collector's base. Super cool.
Yeah. We got a little tad bit of that in the movie.
Yeah. Cosmo
and Howard the Duck. And did Groot make the deal with him to let him get his corpse after he died? Because, you know, the Collector immediately is like, you know, he's like, let me pay you to get your body after you die or whatever.
Yeah, and Groot's dumbass is like, sure.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to need it. Yeah. I am Groot. Yeah. It's like, you about to die at the end of this movie, dog.
Yeah, the end is not that far from you.
So technically, Baby Groot is an indentured servant and belongs to Taven.
Or, because Baby Groot, they said is a different Groot from...
Oh, that's right.
Prime. Yeah. So I guess like whatever corpse remains, whatever tree bark is left, will belong to the Collector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, this Groot seemed like he was like pretty well grown, you know what I mean? And he is almost a completely different character from the Groot we have in the current continuity.
Oh, yeah.
And then he also never became fucking Kaiju Groot.
No. Yeah, Kaiju Groot is like fucking part redwood.
Yeah. Yeah, even in the holiday special, man, Groot is fucking ripped.
Yeah, like, he looks like a fucking creepy mascot, you know? Yeah. Like, he's so damn big.
Yeah, they fed him, what's that fucking shit, Eric Cartman, the fucking beef gain.
Oh, yeah.
5,000 or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, put that shit in his fertilizer.
Yeah.
You know? Fucking hell. I will say this, man. As much as I love this movie, and this isn't so much a critique as it is something that I just noticed, they do a good job at being really fast and loose with the opening.
Yeah.
You know, you see Peter in the hospital with his family and his mom is dying, and you know he gets the present that we find out is another mixtape. You know, she starts to convulse or whatever, and he runs outside, and spaceship picks him up. It's the Ravagers. Boom, out of there, and smash cut 26 years later. You know,
and the tone of the opening is so different from the rest of the movie.
Yes, it is. It almost feels like James Gunn was like, "Fuck, we forgot to film an opening." You know?
Yeah. What's some dark shit that we can open this up with? Because I mean, the opening of this is like so dark. I mean, you have his mom. There, you have this little kid. His mom's like dying of cancer. He runs outside and gets abducted by aliens.
Mm-hmm. Like most unlucky kid ever, you know?
Yeah. And then The next thing we get is him dancing through the
right,
the field or whatever.
Yeah.
On the way to the Temple of the Power Stone.
So this is where we get our very first pseudo Better Ray Bill Easter egg. Yeah. Like the charred skeleton thing that he sings to at one point is that of Beta Ray Bill's race.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And so we were all thinking, man, we're gonna see Beta Ray Bill and something, and we don't.
I mean, it's not too late.
It's not too late, but who's gonna do it? If James Gunn isn't gonna do Beta Ray Bill, then no one will.
They'll put him in Secret Wars.
Oh, we think that Thor showed up. And then we see.
Yeah, somehow he's got Stormbreaker and everything. That would be crazy.
That would be. Oh, that'd be great.
They do the whole scene where he's like crying over Deadpool, and then Deadpool's like, wait, this isn't gonna work for me. I can't.
Yeah, you can't be uglier than me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I could do this, but I need Hemsworth.
They just get Hemsworth to play Beta Ray Bill.
That would be funny.
That would be. So we were still in the phase of the MCU during this time that was the era of the MacGuffin. And I don't say that as a bad thing.
No.
It was a strong narrative device.
And this is actually our first time that we got something called an Infinity Stone in the MCU. Because obviously the space and... Shit, we didn't even know it at the time, but the space and the Mind Stone are in Avengers 1.
Yeah.
And we didn't really necessarily know that yet. We thought it was the Cosmic Cube, and they just called it the Tesseract.
Yeah. Yeah. But, that is interesting, right? Because who on Earth would know to call it an Infinity Stone?
Right. Nobody. I mean, just Thor.
Yeah. He'd be the only one, and he probably didn't pay attention in Asgardian school or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he calls it out in Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah. That's true.
So, yeah, he just didn't know. And he speaks Groot.
And he does speak Groot. So, they taught that as an elective.
Yeah, taught that as an elective one. That's right. That's a cool fucking thing.
Right. It's crazy, man. Like, it was a couple years ago, I was reading, I think, Annihilation or Annihilation Conquest, one of those two. But during that book, you get to see, like, the first pseudo Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And it's a character called Loverbug. He kind of looks like a man grasshopper type deal. Peter Quill, Rocket, Groot, and I think Mantis. And like it's the first time that they're all kind of forced to work together, and they're not even called the Guardians yet. It's just like a throw together thing that
These
they did.
space guys.
Yeah, the space guys. And what was crazy was that at that time, not only did Groot speak more than 3 words, he spoke full sentences, and he was evil as fuck.
Yeah.
And so it was jarring for a second because I had to get used to that again. And then, he gets killed, and after that, I am Groot. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
That really is wild.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, right? Because this was our first entry in the cosmic wing of the MCU. Mm-hmm. There was kind of a lot of... they were kind of feeling it out at this point in time, like, what will mass audiences accept now?
Yeah.
What can we push the limit on? It's, will they accept a Norse god as a superhero? Yep, okay. Captain America's kind of old school. Can we make that a thing? Oh, okay, yeah. They like that. Okay, can we do a team-up movie? Can we do The Avengers? Can we make a quasi-sequel to all of these other movies that also have other sequels? Yes. Yep. Overwhelmingly yes. People love that.
Right.
And so this was where at the point where they were like, okay, well, can we take this in more of a sci-fi direction? Mm-hmm. And I think the answer overwhelmingly again was yes. And it's very good that the first entry in this was as good as it is and was in such good hands as it is, because otherwise, I mean, that cosmic wing of the MCU might have gotten shut down pretty quickly.
Not only that, right? But if people cannot accept a cosmic-based superhero movie like this, then how do they handle Thanos?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if this movie doesn't do well, then I think, Infinity War and Endgame are drastically different films.
I think so too.
And I mean, the MCU as we know it today is going to be drastically different.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Because ultimately, you don't want an MCU that never leaves Earth.
No, that's a Marvel connected planet, Marvel Cinematic Planet, the MCP.
The MCP.
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Planet.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some interesting moments that we get here, right? Like I've always really enjoyed the scene where Peter's trying to turn in what we now know as the Power Stone.
Yeah.
And to
the
broker.
The broker.
Yeah. And the broker's like, "Oh shit, dog, appreciate that." And Peter's like, "Yeah, there was some guy named Korath who works with Ronan the Accuser." The broker's like, "Never mind, dog.
Never mind." Yeah. Yeah, actually I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually when we're talking about this, I love the pacing of this movie.
It's so fast. In a good way.
I mean, they take little breaks to exposit. Probably the longest time in the movie that they don't have the gas on is probably like after they get their asses beat at nowhere and they're kind of licking their wounds from that, going into the third act. And I mean, even then, there's some great moments in that.
Yeah.
The fucking Rocket versus Drax fight, almost kicking off. The whole thing where they like get drunk and go gambling and shit.
That was great.
That's all great. So yeah, I mean, I really love this scene. I also really love like how quickly Gamora tracks him down.
Mm-hmm.
And as we have said a billion times, the integrity of the characters is so important here.
Yes.
And even though James Gunn makes fun of everything in this movie, that's not one of them.
Right.
Like, you can make the movie funny, you just can't undermine the integrity of your characters to do it. You can undermine their integrity, but not the integrity of the character.
Right.
And like that's one thing I've really thought about a lot when I did this most recent watch through of it is Gamora is a fucking famous space assassin.
Yeah.
It is not going to take her any time to track down this motherfucker who has a unique ship. Loud as fuck. Cannot stop telling everyone who he is at every chance he gets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he obviously, like, she knows, like, what, like, his somewhat exact whereabouts are as far as, like, space goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he walks outside and she's just right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, that made perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they go into the fight, he never has the upper hand on her, really.
No.
He's
got some tricks up his sleeves, but in terms of preparedness, like, she's got him.
Yeah, he has some tricks on, like, how to get away from her.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But, like, how to beat her,
no.
He never has anything, and he shouldn't.
Yeah, he shouldn't. You're right. Like, in no way would he have won that. He should be grateful that Rocket and Groot were there.
Yeah. Because if not, he had that one trick where he attached the rocket to her or whatever, and that shit was hilarious.
It was. And it bought him like a whole 7 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, motherfucker. And then now she's pissed.
Yeah.
She's like right back on him.
Right. That whole scene I thought was fantastic.
The whole thing is like the way the action plays here as they like are introducing Groot and Rocket to us in the middle of this fight scene.
Right.
It's actually like it's a chase scene disguised as a fight scene.
It is.
And it works so well.
It really does, right? Because there's 3 separate parties that all have their own goals and interests.
Yeah, and then at the end, fucking Groot just bags him up. I love that shit.
Yeah. It's also hilarious that apparently Groot doesn't know male from female like at all.
No. Meat bags.
Yeah, they're all the same to him.
Yeah. Fucking HK-47 over here.
Right. Oh shit, that's a throwback right there.
Yeah.
Man, something I was gonna say, it was about Gamora. It'll come back to me. Yeah, she's a badass space assassin.
She didn't even have her sword in this.
She didn't, did she?
She didn't have to bring that shit.
That's
She's
true.
not fighting nobody that's for real that she knows of.
Yeah. Just some would-be fucking space pirate, you know? Jimon Honsu, he's also in this movie as Korath the Pursuer.
Yep.
It's always good to see him, and he actually comes back in Captain Marvel, right?
Yep. Korath's in that.
And Ronan.
Yep.
Yeah. Somehow they're both better in this movie.
Yeah. That's true. I don't really remember Korath from Captain Marvel that well, but when I sit down to watch a Marvel movie, that's typically not on the list.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Man, the prison scene is also a fan favorite as well.
Yes.
And it's tremendous because we get the moment where, first of all, we get to see the moment where Rocket is like putting on his clothes and you see that he's all fucked up with cybernetics and shit.
Yep.
Again, James Gunn kind of playing the long game here. You get the idea that he's always wanted to tell Rocket's story.
But he couldn't just come right out with it.
Yeah.
But oh man, was the fucking juice worth the squeeze?
Yes, it was.
Because by the time he gets there, man, it's like so impactful.
Oh yeah, and it's been building up. And we get to see a lot of that in this movie. Again, like you mentioned, the casino scene. Rocket was drunk, sure, but there was a lot of real pent-up emotion.
Yes.
Yes. And it was a tremendous scene, and it comes back again in Guardians 3, for that full kind of resolution.
Right.
Yeah. The thing that makes everything on this prison so fucking great is that there's not a wasted moment.
There really isn't. Right out the gate, these guys are deciding that they're going to like threaten them or whatever. And Rocket and Groot immediately put the wood tentacles to the guy. Nathan Fillion plays that character.
That's right.
And I remember watching this the first time, and I was like, okay, we're out of the first act, here in the prison. And I was just like, man, I feel like this is going to be like a elongated prison sequence, but it's not.
No,
it was great. And I love that Peter's just like, oh, yeah, Rocket here has escaped from 22 different prisons. He's probably already got a plan. And then Rocket's like, as a matter of fact, I do have a plan.
Yeah. And
the fact that he, like, sends him after the dude's leg is
right.
fucking hilarious,
That shit gets me every time.
Yeah.
What also gets me every time is when Rocket, he says, I need this, and that. And then he's expositing, like, the plan and, like, the intricacies of it. And in the background, fucking Groot is getting object number 3.
Yeah.
And Rocket's like, but it's very important that, we get that battery last, because once we get that battery, then they're going to know that shit's going to go down. And you see it playing out in the background.
Yeah, and of course it all goes to shit immediately.
Right.
And we get this awesome moment where Drax tosses Rocket the big-ass gun.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he says.
Big-ass gun.
Yeah. He says, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's such a great moment,
right?
Man. And it was in all the trailers, and it just hits just right in the movie. And that he ends up with the control tower in them, and like having the drones kind of like make it into a little craft.
Yeah,
very cool.
Super fucking cool. This movie also has, no doubt about it. This movie has my all-time favorite Drax.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, Dave Bautista, fucking big as a house, and he brings that serious stoic demeanor, but at the same time, he's hilarious. But the character isn't trying to be funny; he's just hilarious being himself. And then there's just so much he doesn't understand that makes him even more hilarious. And this version of Drax I thought was just tremendous. Something was definitely lost by the time we got to Guardians 2.
And we never really get it back.
No. They tried for like half a second in Infinity War.
Yeah, I don't mind him at all in Infinity War. He's okay in Guardians 3. He doesn't have a lot to do in Endgame because he dies.
You're right.
So he's really just in that final shot or whatever.
Yeah. I guess my problem with him in Infinity War is like your whole thing is you're gonna be the one that kills Thanos, and I mean we never really see you try.
He ran at him.
He does run at him
and got turned into ribbons or whatever the fuck it was. Were you surprised to not have Mantis in this movie?
I guess I'd just be curious as to where she would go in this movie.
Gotcha.
You know, like it's interesting, right? Because if I had to put 5 Guardians in this first movie, and I haven't seen the movie, obviously. If I had to put 5, I feel like you got to go Rocket Groot, you got to go Star Lord, you got to go Gamora. You need your space assassin. I would probably try to do 6, and I probably would have done Moondragon and Phyla Vale, the 2 that actually never make it to the movies.
Yeah. Well, they got time.
They do, and they got room on the roster now.
Oh, isn't that kid supposed to be Moondragon?
Which kid?
At the end of Guardians 3?
Is that?
I thought I read somewhere that that's what they were intending on setting up.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
But my brain might just be making that shit up, but I thought I read that somewhere. But it could be bullshit,
Yeah.
They have no plans for a Guardian. I mean, they're gonna have another Guardians movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're probably gonna be in fucking Doomsday or Secret Wars at a minimum.
Yeah. Who would you
Peter's on Earth,
Yeah.
so he at a minimum is probably gonna be in Doomsday.
Right. Do you think we get Zoe Saldana back?
No, I don't think we should. I think she's done actually.
Yeah.
I think Drax is 100%. Like Dave Bautista is done, and I don't think you recast him. Mm-hmm. I think that Zoe Saldana and Dave Bautista are both out.
I think so too.
I actually think both of them. We might see them in DC, but we're not going to see them back in the MCU.
Yeah.
They were pretty much only there for James Gunn.
Yeah, and that's true, especially Bautista.
We might get Karen Gillan back as Nebula.
I would hope so.
I think we'll definitely get Rocket. I mean, they can bring Groot back.
Right.
But how you going to have Groot with no Rocket?
Yeah. Or vice versa, really.
Yeah, so I think the new lineup, I think they're going to have to do something.
Do you do Drax with no Mantis?
Not going to get it. You're not going to get Drax.
I mean, do you do Mantis with no Drax?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay.
I think that's fine. You can just. Unfortunately, I think they're going to put Adam Warlock in there.
Hopefully they can get him right because he should be on the team. But man, I just didn't like what we got with him.
They can pair Mantis up with him.
Yeah.
And just have him straight man it, and she's ridiculous.
Yeah. That would be fun. That would be fun. I mean, they could do like a Quasar. Honestly, and this isn't just more slander because I hate this character in particular, but I think that a lot of characters we haven't seen because of Captain Marvel.
Right.
I think a lot of characters kind of impede on Captain Marvel's abilities or skill sets and familiarity. And so because of that, I think that's why we don't have a Nova, even though they set up perfectly for Nova.
Right.
We don't have a Quasar. That might be why they waited so long for Adam Warlock and why he's so different.
Well, we can just go ahead and get rid of her.
Yeah.
Just don't just don't even bring her back.
Yeah, and we can, out of all the things we've retconned in the MCU, I'm cool retconning one more thing.
How much would you pop in the theater if we get like a legitimate Marvel for Secret Wars?
Oh fuck! I would not be contained.
You're gonna wear your white pants. That day.
I would. Well, it wouldn't matter because they'd be off. It would not fucking matter.
This man says he's coming to the premiere with a family size box of Dick and Nips.
That's right. Big old industrial size bag of Dick and Nips.
The variety pack.
Yeah, the variety.
The salted caramel, the original recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, the roasted caramel, all of it. Yeah.
The cookies and cream.
Yeah. Oh shit. I mean, which they could do now. Looking at where Monica Rambeau is, we don't know what's in that universe.
That's
where
true.
She ends up at.
That's true.
I mean, at the very least, listen. You don't want to give us Marvel. Give us his daughter, Falavel. She's fucking awesome too.
Yeah.
I really enjoy her character, and she's a Guardian. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're gonna make another team. So I don't know. Like we said, I think Sean Levy is a great choice for them to do a Guardians team. So
got a feeling he might be busy with Deadpool and Wolverine too.
They could just put Deadpool on the team.
Holy shit. I would love for them to try to do something like that, but then Deadpool fucks it up, like he misses the ship.
Well, we thought that we were gonna get like an Asgardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
And then we got a okay amount of that, I guess, throughout the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if there's any good section of Love and Thunder, it's where he's teamed up with the Guardians at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, when Thor is so goddamn goofy that Peter Quill is the straight man.
Yeah. Yep. How does that happen?
Right.
How does that happen?
What universe is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
this
shit.
Clearly ain't 616.
No.
Can we get Iman Vellani down here to straighten this shit out?
Yeah, someone needs to PowerPoint presentation explain this.
This is Thor.
Right.
He's supposed to be wise, but not intelligent, and doesn't know how things work on Earth.
Oh man, I do wonder in Guardians 1, what is Thanos thinking when he's like, oh, got a call from one of my best employees, Ronan. Let's see what's going on with him. And Ronan's like, hey dog, it's me, Ronan. So good news, I found the artifact you were looking for. Good news for me, I figured out what was in it. And it's an Infinity Gem. and bad news for you, I'm keeping this shit, dog. Fuck you, I'm out. No 2 weeks. Peace.
I love how he threatens Thanos or whatever. And Thanos is just doesn't look worried.
Yeah.
He's not concerned, anything. He just cuts the feed. He's just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll see you in a minute.
Right.
So, how do you think Ronan does, man, if he is able to get the Power Stone and fight Thanos using it?
I think we see that he doesn't really know how to use it.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to put it in a hammer.
Yeah.
But clearly you separate that hammer from him.
It's going to take Thanos about 14 seconds to grab that hammer and beat you to death with it.
Right. And it's not going to be fun.
And he's not going to have to swing it that many times.
Yeah,
Probably just the once.
Thanos has the mentality of, if I have to get up out this chair and come to you, I'm bringing an ass whooping with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a 6-pack.
Yeah. And so you don't want that at all.
You really don't. I mean, we saw that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is not wise and patient Infinity War Thanos. This is in-game Thanos. Mm-hmm. This is I'm trying to... this is fucking World Breaker Thanos.
Yeah. You might have seen... I don't know if you ever watched the Disney Plus cartoon, Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes.
It never looked good to me, so...
It was actually okay. It wasn't bad.
That's not the one with the Thanos copter in it.
No.
Okay.
I would fucking die. What if there was a Thanos copter in Deadpool and Wolverine? It could have been one there.
That should have been that should be hilarious. Yeah.
But there's a scene in that cartoon where, it's been all over the internet. It's where Thanos realizes he can't live Mjolnir, so he takes Thor and just hits Mjolnir, hits Thor with Mjolnir on the ground.
Yeah,
So it's got to figure this out,
Yeah. You gotta hit a motherfucker's hammer with another motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's the same guy? Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
That's sufficient.
Yeah. It was interesting seeing Thanos for the time that we see him. Was he getting ready to go get his stone?
In this
Yeah.
movie? Well, in Endgame, they completely changed the timeline.
Yeah.
Because technically, when we see him in Endgame, it's prior to the start of this movie.
Right.
Because when Skrull, Rhodey, and Nebula.
Scrody, yeah.
Yeah. Scrody. That sounds awful. Colonel Scrodes.
Sounds even worse.
It's way worse. It's way worse. The Scrode machine. But yeah, so and when that moment when Rhodey and Nebula show up, Gamora and Nebula in the 2014 version haven't even left to go hang out with Ronan yet.
Yeah.
Because they're all like some space station fucking up some race.
Yeah.
Some random aliens that may or may not have done anything wrong.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. And so, yeah, they're still working with Thanos at that point. So it's just prior to this. So they completely disrupt the whole thing. I mean, obviously at this point, the 2014 Thanos is still looking for the stones. He's pissed off because the Loki shit like just happened 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. I guess I was wondering, like, with this 2014 version of Thanos, like before, we get Scrody and Nebula fucking shit up. Like, after he hangs up the phone with Ronan, is he like, go get my pimp cane and my hat. I'm about to go out and get my stone. Because I'm wondering, like, he had to have at least been on the way, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, I guess that's an important question is like, why did it take him 4 years to burn Xandar to the ground?
Yeah.
Because, like, the Space Stone the Power Stone ends up there at the end of this movie.
And that's where he gets it. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it stays there until 2018 when Thanos is just like, I'm about to go get this rock. I kind of wonder if maybe he was trying to, get tabs on the... I mean, obviously we know the Ultron thing happened.
Yeah.
And that was 2015. And so...
Maybe he was waiting for most of them to be in one place.
Yeah, or...
At least one planet.
Because, he wasn't like I'm going to do it my fucking self until the end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So until then, no, he probably just had a whole bunch of other schemes running.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what it was up to. I was just curious because I was just surprised to see him, like, from a narrative standpoint, you think he would have pulled up at some point looking for his stone.
Yeah, I mean, also the... which one is the Aether? It's...
the one in Dark World.
Yeah, but I'm saying, which stone is it? It's not Soul.
Reality?
Yeah, Reality. Yeah, the Reality Gem is already there at the fucking Collector's house when the Guardians get there.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... I don't know. Thanos, he's taking his time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so, looking back at this movie, they also kind of did a lot of cool things with action scenes that we haven't really seen in a lot of superhero movies. So, we go back to that prison break scene, and everyone gets a moment to show what they can do.
Right.
And it's all very specialized.
Groot especially has some of the best action in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Groot. The part towards the third act, when he impales those guys... And then it hits the other group of guys with the impaled dudes and just decimates them.
And then he turns at the end and does that big ass fucking goofy ass grin. Dude, that shit cracks me up every time.
Yes. Were you surprised to see them kill Groot?
Kinda, yeah, because like this is the intro to all of them. Mm-hmm. We didn't know any of these characters. So, I mean, like, I think myself looking at it, when he died or whatever, I was like, oh, I kind of liked him, not knowing that they were going to have him come back as Baby Groot. So
yeah.
And then, of course, you see the little tree or whatever, then you're like, oh, okay, well, they'll bring him back at some point. Mm-hmm. Didn't expect the next movie to open with a fucking montage of him dancing around and shit. But,
you're right.
We've talked at length about that.
That we have. That we fucking have. Yeah. The music in this movie, man. What do you feel about the music here?
Obviously,
yeah.
This Guardians as a whole, right, is kind of the the A-lister of movie soundtracks, especially superhero movie soundtracks. I mean, you want to talk like the best movie soundtracks of all time. This is up there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know a lot of people that have this soundtrack on their playlist. You know,
the homie Caleb, you're right here. The homie Kevin,
right here.
Homie Kevin had it in vinyl.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I bet they sold a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it is the movie when it comes to soundtracks. I mean, you know, other than like if you have a movie with an amazing score that like Hans Zimmer, for instance, put together, you know, this is it. When it comes to like just a movie soundtrack, it's like Queen of the Damned and this movie are like neck and neck at the top.
Man, it's so hard to top this movie soundtrack.
It is. I mean, and they honestly, all three of the Guardians movies.
I agree.
Even fucking in Infinity War, man, when they bring in Rubber Band
Man, yeah.
Like that shit to this day will just randomly get stuck in my head, and I'll be walking around humming that shit.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, James Gunn just has a knack for it. I mean, even Suicide Squad, great soundtrack. So he has a great knack for getting the soundtrack together. This one is just banger after banger, and I think the soundtrack is a huge part of the movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, they even bring it into the plot, you know. So
yeah. I mean, it is a very integral part of the plot.
Yeah.
There's something else I'm gonna say about this damn movie. I want to go back to the pacing because you mentioned that earlier.
The pacing is very good,
man, and it just helps the movie flow.
Yeah, you also don't have too much time to think about anything, right? Like a lot of us just got introduced to these characters for the first time.
Yeah,
and as the movie's going, like it doesn't slow down long enough for you to really follow anything. And like you and I, you know, we both hate a chase scene.
Oh yeah,
but none of the ones in this movie really are that like glaring, you know.
I agree. I actually like the chase scenes we get here.
Yeah, and it's because they're all unique, right? Like obviously, you know, we have the one at the beginning we talked about with Gamora, and then Rocket and Groot, and then Star-Lord. But we also have the one on Nowhere.
Yeah,
which is there's such a fun aspect to that. I really love the part where Peter's like, yeah, these pods are like nearly indestructible or whatever. And Rocket says something to the effect about, yeah, but they're not going to withstand necrofire or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not what I mean. And you see it like click for Rocket. He's like, fuck yeah. He just starts driving it through the other ships or whatever. Yeah, there's some amazing shots. There's actually quite a few shots in this movie that are just so well done. Watching it gave me, I think, even more hope for Superman Legacy.
Yeah. I mean, James Gunn has a great track record. You know,
he does. I mean, it's like we were talking about on the last episode. Between his last 3 movies combined, he has a total of 1 day of reshoots.
And again, like to me, that's crazy.
Yeah, especially considering how many like changes and stuff happened with Suicide Squad.
Right.
Even down to the fact that you know, originally Idris Elba was
going to be Deadshot.
He was going to be playing Deadshot,
yeah.
And then they changed that.
Right. Like that was, so it's just crazy to think that this guy, I mean, he just clearly has a love for his craft, you know, and it shows.
They're like, conveniently, DC has another character named Bloodsport.
Yeah.
That's like exactly this.
Right. Well, what does he do? Well, he's a very skilled marksman, villain. You know, he can hit shit. So yeah. Not to take us off topic here, but this did just come to mind.
We would never do that.
I would never do that here. Have you heard the rumors about Bo DeMaio and why he was let go?
Yeah. Listen, if he is guilty of the shit that Disney said he did, I mean, then obviously they had no choice but to let him go. And they should have let him go, and, you know, obviously that kind of shit's unacceptable. But it is fucking odd to me that they waited this long to say anything, and it wasn't until they stripped his writing credit for season 2, and then, when Bo DeMaio came forward with his lawyer and was like, yeah, this is bullshit that he's being stripped of his, writing credits or whatever. Then they started to be like, oh, well, we had an internal investigation and the findings were extensive, so we let him go. And then when that didn't fly well, then it was like all the details started to come out. It just seems weird to me, man, that Disney would not have, if they had this legitimate ammo in the tank to wash their hands of this,
then why not come out with it?
Why wouldn't they? I mean, I can see why you wouldn't want to break it out right before the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, at least after the fervor had died down, be like, yeah, this is why we let him go.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change my opinion of 97. The body of work is incredible, whether he did the shit or not, right? Like, we're huge fans of it. I really hope that, so either way, it's a bad time, right? Like, either he actually did the shit, and we have this brilliant mind who's fucking also twisted to shit. That's never happened before. Or, like, Disney is just, like, railroading this motherfucker for no real reason.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he's gay.
Right.
And I could totally see them doing some shit like that.
Just fucked. And
how hilarious would it be is like you discriminate against your X-Men showrunner.
They're right. For being a marginalized individual.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
You wrote this shit so well.
Yeah. You wrote it too well.
We're sending Bastion after you.
And the other crazy thing about that is we won't really know whether he did it or not. We won't really know the consequences of his firing until season 3.
Right. Because season 2 was already written.
Yeah. And he had already done some other work on season 2 as well, getting it prepared. So most of the heavy lifting, besides obviously like the drawing, the animation, had been done.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I was the person who like kind of cried doomsday when Justin Roiland got let go from Rick and Morty. Mm-hmm. And other than the Mr. Boo Butthole actor, it's fine, Rick and Morty's fine. They got to get rid of that guy though. He's fucking terrible. It's like he never saw the original version.
I guess there are like some differences though, right? Because like it wasn't really like he was cleared of all wrongdoing, wasn't he?
That's true. Yeah, Justin Roiland, like they all owe that motherfucker an apology. But I just mean like
from
that they did fire him, and like the product is still okay.
I guess the other thing is like they kind of set themselves up for that kind of potential demise, like Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, because they have so many writers.
Yeah,
so like the show is almost kind of set up to succeed, whether they're there or not.
Yeah, and the show had a good season without Dan Harmon too, Yeah. So, and I think the guy that's taken over 97, like it's not like some random person. Like they heavily worked on
What If.
Yeah, but they heavily worked on season 1 as well, didn't they?
Sure. Maybe, probably.
Yeah, I think they also worked on season 1.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like there are other writers there besides Bo DeMaio. But I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see how that show is going to shake out season 3 on down.
Yeah.
Because then we get to see, is this guy really just, does he really just have an overinflated ego, and then did he really do all that nasty shit? And can the show survive without him?
Right.
And we going to see, I guess.
Yeah. Just not in season 2. It won't be, like you said, it won't be till season 3. Or is it technically season 8? I don't know. That we're going to see how everything plays out. Mm-hmm. But until then, man, just enjoying the shit out of some great X-Men animation.
Yeah. I saw a post earlier from a pretty reputable source. And now I could have just missed this. But apparently, Sean Gunn, he'll be playing Maxwell Lord in the DCU.
That doesn't shock me.
It doesn't shock me. It just surprised me because I had no idea that he was he was doing this.
Yeah, I mean, this would be my first time hearing it too. Maxwell Lord is way off from Kraglin though,
right? You know? And I love Kraglin, you know, but and I love Weasel too, you know. But
also, yeah, that's right, isn't it? He's playing two characters in Creature Commandos, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Weasel and then like an actual person.
Yeah, we gotta look that up now. So.
Yeah, Sean Gunn, man, like he stayed busy.
That's true. Yeah,
This man stay working.
I mean, you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready. I have heard
that is true.
Yeah, so he's playing. Let's see, upcoming. He's playing G.I. Robot.
That's right.
And Weasel. They already have him listed as Maxwell Lord on IMDb.
Well, shit. Well, there you have it.
And like apparently that's in Superman Legacy.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, how is he ever gonna live up to Pedro Pascal's rendition?
Okay. Yeah. Well, we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to. You know, we got to go down that road. Shout out to Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, we don't have any ideas. Let's get Pedro Pascal. You're not the only ones to do it,
right? Yeah. I can't wait for all those trailers to finally actually drop, so we can. Depending on when they all drop, that could be a whole episode on its own.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Breaking down.
Are you out of ideas? Have you been trying to make movies and television shows and your cinematic universe just isn't working out?
Right.
Well, I have a solution for you. Just call Pedro Pascal.
He'll revitalize your series and or movie.
Yeah. Pedro will become a new anchor for your entire cinematic universe. All you have to do is provide him a magical child to escort.
And yeah, I think they've confirmed that Franklin Richards is in the Fantastic Four movie.
God damn it.
So, I need to put this thing on silent.
Wow. Fucking amateur.
I'll just edit that out.
So Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So we just went off on a tangent that never happens.
We did. Yeah, it never happens.
It's rare, folks.
It is rare. Yeah. Yeah, this movie to me was such a surprise at the time because I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't that familiar with James Gunn either.
No, me neither. Yeah.
But man, after seeing this movie, I couldn't wait for what was to come next for these Guardians. I remember some people were hoping that maybe they'd appear in some fashion in Age of Ultron. That movie was busy enough as it was.
Whoever made the call to not have that happen, like I think at the time I definitely was in that same camp of like, oh man, we need the Guardians and Avengers, but the fact that they waited on that, it just made Infinity War seem so much bigger than it was.
Yeah.
Like that these movies aren't in service of the Avengers. Right. They're not trying to build up the next Avengers movie. But then, in Infinity War, it's like, we had seen all these different people interact before. We had seen, obviously Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron are very, very focused on that core Avengers team and then like their immediate vicinity.
Right.
When we get into Infinity War, it's balls to the fucking wall.
Yeah.
We got the Wakandans.
Yep.
We have, the Guardians of the Galaxy are involved.
Spider-Man.
I mean, just all these characters where it's like they kind of were off in their own kind of corners of the universe. Doctor Strange, of the universe. And now it's like, okay, we have the space, wing is here. The metaphysical wing is here. Wong and fucking Doctor Strange are rolling up in here. We got everybody from the original Avengers crew. I mean,
yeah,
just, both sides of the Civil War.
We got Skrulls.
Yeah, we got at least one Skrull.
Yeah, so they was just out here. When did Nick Fury switch with his Skrull?
They actually talk about that. So it was after the snap.
Okay, so it was after Infinity War. I'm assuming the first snap.
After Endgame.
Oh, okay.
Because he would have been gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Rhodey was already a Skrull when he got snapped.
Yeah.
And then he came back still as Rhodey. Although we don't see
We don't
him.
see that.
We don't see that.
Yeah.
We actually don't see anybody come back other than the kids in Far From Home.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and Monica Rambeau.
Yep, we see her. Yeah. I appreciate Marvel for touching on, like, the economy and shit like that when half the people leave and then they all come back.
Right.
But there's still a lot of untapped shit there that they haven't really spoken on.
I think they just got to move on from it at this point. Like, everything was so Snap centric for so long after.
Yeah, years.
I mean, Endgame, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so vast at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We still have characters we haven't checked in with.
Yeah.
Since Endgame, like there's still characters out there where we just haven't seen what the fuck they're up to.
That's true.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's vast. We don't know where the fuck White Vision's just been out here just...
Bruh, he's out there on the island with the Sentinel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, with the Celestial. He's just out there.
Yeah, he's out there just chilling.
Yeah. But that is a good point. That's another thing they should really check into. You might want to find fucking White Vision.
Yeah. There's just a fucking ultra mega death bot.
Right.
That's just zooming around.
Yeah, with like zero conscience.
Yeah.
I should probably do something about that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's very important.
But yeah, so we've pretty much broken down Guardian. Oh yeah, I do want to talk about one more thing. That is Yondu.
Yeah.
So out of all of the characters in this movie, the only one that is like noticeably very different from his comic book counterpart is Yondu. But the thing of it is, there's an exception to every rule. And just because James Gunn is good at taking characters and just completely fucking flipping them doesn't mean that the rest of you guys should try to do it too.
So explain it for the homies. What's the differences like with this comic book version?
The comic book version is very stoic, straightforward warrior type mentality. He does use an arrow, but that arrow is attached to a bow. So yeah, he's expert archer, that type of thing. They do have the fins, the Mohawk fins, but James Gunn, he made Yondu changed from a personality standpoint and from an ability standpoint. Like the whistling arrow,
that thing is cool as fuck.
It's cool as fuck. And apparently, like the remote control is the headpiece.
Yeah.
And then like the personality of him being like this space bandit, that's also very new as well. And having him be this kind of father figure to Peter, who was also a morally gray type character. With that fucking accent of his, so it's just a very different character. But it's not only does it work, but it's the superior version.
Yeah, it's fantastic, right? I mean, it's kind of like with Kamala Khan, right? I mean, the MCU version is the best version. A lot of it comes down to the casting, right? I mean, Michael Rooker is fantastic,
right?
And he kills the role of Yondu. He is by far the highlight of the second movie.
Oh, I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, far and away, like, the second movie doesn't work at all without him.
People were quoting him in that second movie, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in this movie, I think he's a character that not everybody really liked. But in the second movie, you leave that movie like, oh, man, fucking R.I.P. Yondu,
right.
So... yeah, I mean, he's basically the star of the second movie.
Yeah,
he put that movie on his back.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I thought he was great here. Him and the Ravagers. I will say, I never paid any fucking attention to Kraglin in this movie originally. Watching it last night, obviously you pick him out, but man, if you'd asked me like on the trivia before Guardians 2 came out who the fuck Kraglin is, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I'd be like,
yeah. Now I'm with you because he's just kind of like the goofy lackey.
Yeah.
But man, like
I don't know if they even name him in the movie.
They never say his name, do they?
Yeah, I don't know if they even. Yeah, he's an unnamed Ravager 1. Yeah.
At least he's 1, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah.
It could be like 5, you know?
You're going to need some new henchmen.
Right.
But not these guys.
Not these
because they're kind of dead.
Oh, shit. Well, I do think that the next time we see Peter, post Guardians 3 will probably be Secret Wars.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna reunite with the Guardians immediately.
Yeah, probably not.
I think he's got to be in Doomsday.
You think so?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how like they really have to have cast for that.
I have no clue still what kind of movie Doomsday is supposed to be.
I don't think you and I are alone in that. I don't think the fucking Russos really at this point know what they're gonna do with it. But I know that if I was them and I was like, all right, who do we got? And I'm sitting there like, okay, we got Harrison Ford. We got.
I hate to say it, that motherfucker's 82, so you better chop.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That he's still like able to do all this shit at that age. You know?
I didn't know he was that old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just think, man, before George Lucas met him, he was just a weed man.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
damn.
You didn't know that?
I was gonna say I thought he was a carpenter, but I think I got it confused with Tim Allen.
No, I actually think he did woodworking as well.
Okay,
but yeah, he has kind of almost a John Peters like story. Like he actually was somebody famous. It wasn't anybody in the Star Wars crew, but he was like their weed man.
Barbra Streisand.
This is Barbra Streisand's weed man. And then, just, rolls up to the set. And
he rose.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
I got it, yeah. I got it. But that's crazy. But you got to think, that was in like the 70s.
Right.
And he was probably his mid-20s when he was filming for Han Solo. So
probably early 30s, really.
You think so? Yeah. Well, either way, I mean, he old as shit now. So, but he's still in it, man. I'm telling you, in 1923, he is absolutely killing it. They got to get the next season of that shit out because the man's 80 something, you know.
Dog, I forgot there was a show. I was like, he was around in 1923.
No, but I definitely recommend anybody check that out. That show is so good. And it doesn't really require, you don't really need to know anything else about like the Yellowstone verse to watch 1923.
The yellow verse.
Yeah, it's easily the best thing in that whole universe, like hands down. So
I still got to check that out.
It's kind of like a Western Game of Thrones, Western setting kind of Game of Thrones.
I mean, that sounds up my alley.
Yeah, so.
Let's go ahead and wrap up here with Guardians, and I want to ask you one more question. What's your favorite scene?
Oh,
favorite scene and favorite character. Give me both.
My favorite character has always been Rocket.
Yeah,
he's a raccoon engineer, like weaponsmith. What's not to love? It's right up my alley. I love him. And the other thing that I'm really proud about Rocket is the thing I was worried about when I first saw this character is he hasn't inspired like legions of furries.
Oh, if he were human sized, we'd have a problem, I think.
Yeah. So thankfully that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I really appreciate him for that contribution to society. Favorite character is easily Rocket. My favorite scene though is probably the fight at the beginning. The Gamora versus Rocket and Groot versus Peter.
It's so well shot.
Because it's so well shot. It all works. It introduces you to like what these characters are capable of. in a very fun and exciting way.
Yeah.
To where even all these years later, I still really enjoy it. If it's not that scene, just for the nerdgasm, it's probably the Thanos scene.
Yeah. I don't think I asked you this yet, but back in 2014, what you think of the Thanos scene then?
I was really hyped about it, right? Like, I knew a good bit about Thanos.
Right.
This was the first time that we got the Josh Brolin voice, and it's like perfect.
Yeah.
To the point where that's how I hear him on the page.
Yeah. It's the same thing for me and Rocket with like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's only certain people that are iconic enough to where you hear them when you read it on the page.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper's one of them. Josh Brolin's one of them.
Kevin Conroy.
I mean, it obviously goes without saying Kevin Conroy. So
Mark Hamill, yeah.
Mark Hamill for sure. Although, I will say that I don't always hear Mark Hamill when I read Joker. But a lot of the time.
Yeah.
If the Joker is like in any way whimsical, then obviously it's Mark Hamill. Darker Jokers I tend to read either in Heath Ledger's crazy ass voice or the dude from Fallout that did it in Dark Knight Returns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was Michael. What's his last name?
I forget that guy's name. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was a serial killer in real life. Like,
yeah,
that's the vibe he always gives me.
Yeah, he really does. But yeah, it will probably be him a lot of times. But
Emerson.
Yeah, Michael Emerson. Yeah, most people met him in Lost for the first time. Yeah, I loved the Thanos scene when I saw it originally. What about you? Because I know you were a big fan before the MCU, obviously. So, how did he live up to Thanos? The Thanos that you were hoping we would get here.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I really enjoyed the scene. I thought it was oddly placed.
Right.
And I guess it's because having so much respect for him on the pages, like this is a really fucking big deal. Why are we just putting him here in the middle of this movie like this? When he's gonna fuck shit up in a couple years,
right?
Yeah. But I've always respected it. I never disliked it. I just thought it was an odd choice,
right?
But I mean, don't get me wrong, it works. In terms of like my favorite moment, mine is still the whole everything in the prison.
Yeah,
I just love everything in the prison so damn much. And favorite character, Cosmo the Russian space dog. Wrong Guardians movie. I'm gonna say, classically speaking, man, like it's always been Star-Lord who's been my favorite, but this time around it might be Rocket. And I think a large part of that has to do with I've seen Guardians 3.
Yeah. I mean, Rocket was always my favorite, though.
Yeah.
It's just because his character's so unwavering and it's so well done. And the fact that, like, him being a fucking CGI raccoon, is such a detriment to like his ability to connect with audiences, but he overcomes it anyway. Mm-hmm. And like that credit is definitely to the script and to Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Because without both of those things really going in, this character is not a household name.
Oh yeah.
And if I'd have asked you in like 2013 if you thought that like Rocket Raccoon was going to be like a A-list Marvel character, you probably would have been like, no, dog.
Yeah. Like,
Who do you think you're going to like more out of Rocket Raccoon and Captain Marvel in the MCU? You'd have been like, Captain Marvel,
like,
duh.
Fucking Captain Marvel, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, of course. Captain fucking Marvel.
And I would owe somebody an exorbitant amount of money.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'd be fucked up out here.
Well, it has been incredibly fun revisiting this movie. All three of the ones that we revisited from 2014. This was just such a landmark era of the MCU and an attempt from Disney to do something different. And this was when they were doing things different in a good way. It seemed like every other month back then, when the news would come out about the MCU, is like they would bring forward some director that you never heard of.
Yeah.
And then now that director's a star.
Right.
When's the last time they pulled that one out?
Ooh, boy.
I mean, Sean Levy, but that's it.
Yeah. And that's kind of on a technicality, you know.
Yeah, before that, it was the Russos.
The Russos.
The guy that did Shang-Chi. See, the fact that I don't know who he is completely invalidates that shit. Exactly. The fact that I can't be like, well, that guy. See, no, fuck that. No. I should know this guy's name, but the guy that's doing the Spider-Man movies.
I almost said Mark Webb, but I'm like 8 movies behind.
Yeah, no. I can't remember his name, but he's really good.
He was attached to Fantastic Four, but he's not anymore, right? Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So, man, that's it for our Guardians 1 retrospective. Man, love this movie, and you mentioned some of those animated movies that came out 10 years ago. I'd love to look back at those.
We've never done Justice League War, have we?
Never. Or Suicide Squad. Jesus, I almost said Kill the Justice League. Wrong thing.
We basically reviewed Assault on Arkham because when the original Suicide Squad came out and we reviewed it, we were like, this movie is fucking trash because Assault on Arkham.
Yeah.
Then this is why Assault on Arkham works, and this fucking movie doesn't. So we basically have reviewed that shit.
That's true.
I love Justice League War. That is my favorite animated DC anything other than Dark Knight Returns.
Wow.
And I love it. The interplay between Green Lantern and Batman in the beginning is perfect. I don't know why the fuck they can't get that right in live action.
I know.
Because there's all these comedic beats, but they don't ever shit on Batman to make them.
Yeah.
And then even when they encounter Kal-El, and like, me, I fucking hate ultra mega powered Superman.
Mm-hmm.
That New 52 Superman is like the most craziest Superman. It works so well the way that they weave it all in.
Right.
And I just, if you watch Justice League War and then fucking watch the Justice League, it's just like,
oh, don't do that.
It's just like, it would be like if you had Eli Roth make a Borderlands movie. Or if you made like a Madam Web movie and instead of like the powers that we know Madam Web has from the comics, her abilities were Pepsi and vehicular homicide.
That's a very specific, oddly specific set of powers you laid out there.
It is,
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well,
CM Punk can do that.
That's true. Yeah. Well, we definitely got to do those two before the year's end.
Yeah,
not Madam Web and Justice League, but
no, we already got to do this Umbrella Academy review.
Oh, man.
That's the next thing we're going to be bringing you guys.
Yes.
We are trying to lube it up and squeeze as much in as we can for you guys before Dragon Con, because that is the mecca of all things.
Absolutely.
Jim Shooter dropped out. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't see
That's
that.
That's unfortunate.
Damn, but okay.
We are going to be seeing all the stars there. We're going to be doing all the things, and maybe even be bringing some cool news for you guys. I noticed that the Boys cast didn't show up this year.
Yeah, that is interesting, huh?
Well, they're not going to have anything coming out for a while. So.
That's true.
But we're trying to get at least 2 more episodes in for you guys before we go do that. And then there's going to be a little break, and then we'll be coming back with all the cool Dragon Con stuff. to make you guys super envious. So
yeah, you should have just went. You should have went.
Yeah, you got time. This is not really the ideal time to plan to go, but you can.
You can.
It's not illegal.
Yeah, and again, for those of you who are going, we'll be there.
We will.
Yeah,
we gonna see.
Yeah, we gonna see. So come hang out.
We might be drunk.
We there's a chance that we might be inebriated,
and depending on the time of day, the chances increase.
Yeah. Remember 2 Dragon Cons ago, went to breakfast and I tried to get an Irish coffee and those motherfuckers would not sell me.
But because of that, I got to hear the words, "Sir, the bar doesn't open until 7 a.m." And I feel like an achievement unlocked actually popped up in real life on my UI because I did not think I was ever going to hear those words in person.
That shit was fucked up. Don't put it on your menu if you don't offer it at that time. All right.
This man literally tried to start his day drinking at like 6 a.m. Now, granted, I think the next day I literally started consuming alcohol when I stepped out of the Uber. And I think I was actually consuming more than alcohol at the time. So, sometimes you just got to go. You just got to go for it. So sometimes you just got to get it started.
Sometimes you do. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's all we got for this one, everybody. And we will be back soon to suffer through the review of Umbrella Academy Season 4.
The last season of Umbrella Academy. I haven't finished it yet. I'm hoping that, it ends stronger than it started. We gonna see. That's gonna be all for now, but homies, we will see you guys again very soon. But until then, my name is Superhero Homie Q.
And I'm Superhero Homie Caleb.